Welcome everyone to the E-commerce Edge How to Thrive in 2025 webinar implementation series. My name's Lucia, I'm from Dello Insights. In winter I asked 21 e-commerce experts the thing they'd found most exciting about data last year that they're going to use in their business this year. Then I invited them onto a webinar to tell me all about it. If you want to get to the report, I'm going to put the link in the chat, which is delloinsights.com. Today we're talking specifically about ways to boost your conversion and your retention rates, and I'm joined by Tony and by Nermin. Tony, would you like to introduce yourself first, explain a little bit about what you do, and then tell us what your tip was?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. I'm Tony. I'm the founder of Brave Agency. I've been in digital marketing, design and development for over 25 years, which basically means I'm old. Also means that I've seen the industry evolve through pretty much every stage, from clunky, really early websites through to flash animated websites, and then now into AI-powered customer journey websites. So I've led Brave through it all in terms of building an agency that effectively we kind of understand the real value of the fact that it's not about louder marketing anymore. I think it's about smarter and connected experiences. We're a digital marketing agency. We're built for e-com brands in particular. We know growth doesn't just come from one-off sales anymore. It comes from loyalty, and we help brands turn first-time customers into what we call sort of long lifetime customers, and making every single touch point from anything from advertising to email into an exceptional customer experience. In a nutshell, we're connecting paid media, SEO and customer journey and email into a strategy that brings a one seamless connection journey all the way through. So not just driving performance. I think that's becoming more and more so kind of something that we need to steer away from. It's about a sustainable, profitable growth now. So stop chasing clicks and build more value. That's our message today.
Fabulous, thank you, Tony. And Nermin?
Hi everyone, I'm Nermin. I'm a conversion optimization strategist for 10 years. Yes, and last year I joined the Blend agency. I guess maybe you have already heard my agency. And at Blend, we develop Shopify stores. Also, we conduct A/B tests, user tests. And I'm responsible of the run A/B test and generate insight, analyzing data, quantitative and qualitative data. And summary, we are target to increasing the conversion rate of our clients' websites.
Thank you very much. That's fabulous. Right, Tony, let's get started with you. Would you like to tell us your tip?
Wow, the tip. I mean, it stems from a report we did ourselves with regards to customer experience being the real differentiator now. So, where we found the respondents to the report, that we found that 60% of the brands say that customer experience really does matter, but only around 30% are actually doing anything meaningful with it. Customers now are not tolerating friction. We all know that. One broken touch point, one lost customer is pretty much game over, really. And we know that if you focus on paid media alone, it's not going to patch that customer experience at all. Brands need journeys now that convert and retain. So, and that's our big focus, really, and that's the big top tip for us, really. Focus on customer experience to boost conversions, loyalty, and repeat customers. A lovely kind of cyclical cycle, I say.
So when you're saying customer experience, you're not literally meaning at the point when they're on the website and they press that buy button, are you? You're talking something quite a lot bigger than that.
It's everything. It's effectively from start to finish. Now, when that customer comes into the website, you're having to make sure that the language is consistent all the way through. So the ad that they're getting served needs a very similar language to and tone of voice with whatever strategy you've run in from an SEO point of view, whatever content is on the web, on the page itself, towards the point where you're at your conversion point at the checkout. Once you've gotten through the checkout, it's not a game over then. It's actually the communication thereafter via email, regular communications there, at that point are really important. So it's no different to going in store and buying an item and then ordering it, a sofa or whatever. It's all of the touch points thereafter, after purchase, is just as important as those early kind of language pieces that you form to kind of just try and get the hook onto the website initially.
Oh, that might explain a bit why the research report said all these people, know it's important, but actually the customers really want it, but actually they're not doing it as much as the customers want. Is it just the sheer complexity and volume of things you have to cover and the number of touch points?
I think the pressure to bring, we had verbal conversations with some of them, just to, literally, it's as simple as this: pick up the phone and speak to people these days. It's probably the most, there's all well and good kind of getting a report together, as you know, but unless we have some dialogue. So the conversations that we had was literally like, the reason why we're not focused on that the CX customer experience is that with the pressure is on to bring sales in fast. So there's almost a short-termism mentality to just bring customers on, but it's the long-term value of that is so much more sustainable, and also to a degree you can forecast that from a business financial point of view as well. I think that's really important. So it's literally the pressure, and yes, it's the amount of analysing of data to get the customer experience spot on, and it moves all the time. I think customers in different sort of if you want to call it a genre or whatever, they're all different, so they all react very, very differently, and you're having to make changes all the time. It's a bit like a shop. You don't expect to go into a big department store and expect it to look the same all year round. They will be moving products and categories in that store. So why don't we just treat a website in the same kind of way? Monitor the traffic, monitor where they're going, where they're not going, how to upsell, cross-sell, etc., and those forms of communication. And eventually you'll get to a sweet spot where you've got a recipe for conversion excellence.
Yep. And again, it doesn't really work with the very funnel approach, does it? Being in silos across the business, you kind of need every single person in the organisation to be aware of it, because it's something, a piece of technology is put on the front end of the website, it might affect the customer experience. And then, it doesn't, and the person making that decision is look at it from that point of view, not necessarily from the customer experience angle. So how does it get managed? Or what would be best practice about actually getting customer experience across the board?
I think in simple terms, you have to audit the journey from every single, if we just think about basic touch points: paid media, landing page, product page, checkout, the email, and then that will obviously and then you go back again on monitoring those touch points. That's kind of the step one. Unification of the channels is key. Paid and SEO. I think I touched on it earlier. Using consistent messaging, incentives, and making sure the product focuses are consistent all the way through. CRO. Obviously, we all know it's going. If done right, reduces clicks to purchase. Even improving page speed. The simple things here. We're talking simple changes. Is key. And now we work with Blend on projects as it is, and I'll plug Blend for a minute in terms of if anyone's serious about CRO, and you should be. I'd highly recommend checking out the team at Blend, because their CR audits are probably some of the best I've ever seen, and I've been around a while. Thorough, practical. My team give me this feedback as well. I'm not looking at it in that sort of that great detail, but and they're fast to implement as well. We've partnered with them a lot and seen some fantastic results. I'm not being paid for that, by the way. That's just a plug. Credit where credit's due. I just wanted to quickly just touch as well on email and building the flows in email. So post-purchase is fine. Mid-purchase, in terms of nurturing them back, is really key. Personalization is obviously a buzzword, but it's as simple as making sure that email feels quite personal. They're coming to a brand for a reason, because you've actually built some trust there. If I'm going to get an email from a brand that it's quite new to me, they've got to be damn sure that they understand what's going to convert me, or what's going to hit my heart and my mind as such. I don't want a robotic email with the usual kind of suspects saying great offer, this, that, and the other. Massive discounts or whatever. They've got to be engaging, and the segmentation. They've got to know my interest, and also hopefully they'll know my past purchases as well. It all comes back to the fact that the repeat purchase isn't going to happen unless you get it right, to that, from brand to messaging to understanding segmentation by my interest and my past purchases. And I know I make it sound quite simple, but sometimes it can be as simple as that.
So if I wanted to say, actually, are there three kind of areas, or one area where you often see people fall down in the customer experience? Where does it tend to get neglected or missed?
Really early kind of trust signals. You can break trust quite easily if you don't fix trust. I don't know. Again, I'm going to keep it quite simple. Delivery expectations on a website. If it's not clear right from the outset, because from what we've looked at, and I'm sure the team at Blend are similar as well, as that looking at the data, 9 times out of 10, if you're new to a brand in particular, that you're probably going to be checking out, I'm not used to this brand. How do they deliver? What do they deliver? How quick am I going to get this item, etc. So, fix the trust breakers right from the start. Returns policies, and that sounds really boring, but obviously making it clear how easy is it to return, is there a cost implication, usual suspects there, etc. And reviews as well. FAQs, do they feel legit, or do they feel like they've just been spat out of ChatGPT? Or this data is there, it's effectively it's trapped in chat, support tickets, chat bots, whatever, emails. Get that data and make it sort of, and humanize it basically. And I think that's one of the kind of key areas. But I think loyalty signals, reinforce it quite early, I'd say. Those trigger back emails, win back emails after the first purchase are really important. So early on, get them while they're warm as such, and then the feedback sort of cycle. When you've made a purchase, get that feedback back as quickly as you can, because they will just go off. They won't bother after a while, if that makes sense.
It does. So we're not really talking, although you can do big major changes to a website, big major refresh, so also smaller things that actually can be done, and that will already start you on improving it. And once you start improving, getting a better conversion rate, even a small uptick in your conversion rate results in quite a lot more sales, doesn't it? And then the next change you make adds even more. So is it more of a continuous process, as well as these big kind of strategic refreshes that need doing as well?
I think, Nermin, I think you'd probably back me up on this. When it's kind of small changes, sometimes can make a big difference. If you make too many at one go, what are you looking at? You're looking at 50 changes. I mean, that's pretty tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, sometimes we only change the copy on the call to action button, and we don't expect a huge increase. But yes, you are right. And customer experience also is a unique for each brand. And actually, I would like to start my part, but I will explain later. But I can say we need to always test the customer experience for each different stores.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you can look at so much data now, can't you? In terms of whether it's conversion, whether it's repeat, whether it's interaction, engagement, but ultimately in the end, I think it's putting a proper plan together and with a priority plan as well. It's I know for a fact working with you guys, it's like an audit can start to show return on investment and implementation of the output of it within a few weeks sometimes, can't it? It can be that quick, and sometimes the simpler changes are the best changes that you can ever make.
It's amazing. So by sector, do you think that all people in all sectors now, if they're selling online, everyone expects a fantastic service? Because I suspect that in the past, if you weren't fast fashion, you could have got away with a slightly older website, slightly worse customer experience. But is it now the case where there's so much competition and the bar keeps getting raised that you just can't afford not to do this now, Tony?
Yeah, and I think everyone always follows the big brands for this. So if I go and purchase from a big not blue chip, but a big kind of well-known brand, they would have put a big significant investment. I mean, not all of them get it right these days, but then what happens is the consumer will be used to a certain, like you said, raise the bar, etc. Now the challenge that for a challenger brand or those mid-level brands is that we have to have the same features. We believe we have to have the same. We are going to be competing for conversion there for sure. So yeah, it's got harder for mid-level brands, challenger brands. But we're following the. I hate to say it, you have to follow the trends to a certain degree of some of the bigger players. But we're seeing that with challenger brands wanting a similar functionality, feature set, and customer journey experience as well. One of the sites that I hate but I love is Amazon, because I don't like it from an aesthetic point of view, but it converts. And being I'm an ex kind of creative back in the day, the key for, and this is really relevant now. I was always taught design to communicate rather than decorate. Now design to convert, it's the same principle really. Is rather than just creating something that looks really nice, a website, we've got to create these journeys that actually engage and convert. It's pretty much as simple as that. And if we do that, it's going to reduce the cost per sale as well, because ultimately, if we're bringing in repeat customers, the journey's right, the repeat customers come back because of, obviously, the brand's got to be good, the product's got to be great, but the competition, as you said, is really high. Then it's going to reduce the cost per sale.
That's amazing. Thank you, Tony. And actually, Nermin, that leads really nicely into your tip when Tony was talking about challenger brands and look at what the leader in the market does. Would you like to tell us about your tip?
Yes, but before I would like to contribute one thing as Tony,
Sure.
And Tony emphasized that the small change can huge effect. Especially you have a loss of the visitor. For example, you have 500,000 per visitors, and you increase the conversion rate maybe as a 1%, and maybe you will have in end of the year 1 million USD. I don't know. It's related to your revenue per visitor. And yes, Tony, I totally agree with you. And my tips, actually, I started to explain. Please don't copy your competitor's website. And in 10 years, I always start from my clients. Okay, we like this website. We would like to use their approach. And every time for example, they remove the video on the product detail page, but they sell a perfume and the cosmetics. Maybe, yes, I still video is impactful for them, but you still automotive products or maybe fashion products and or gardening products and video extremely important, electronic products. Maybe they decided to remove the video parts. It's not important. And I highly recommend, please check the competitor websites and get some inspiration. But please do not implement everything before running A/B tests. Ideal strategy. We always adding a competitor benchmarking in CRO audits or the CRO program. Every month we check their competitor website to track the updates. And however, we never implement the idea. Okay, the client started to emphasize the, for example, call center. I understand our audience has a concern nowadays, maybe, and let's start test it. And yes, we always try to test A/B test actually.
So when you run an A/B test, do you have like, would you run it for 1 month or 3 months, or would it vary on what you're testing? How long would you run a test? How many people would be involved? How many people do you need for it to be a proper test? Is there a minimum limit or?
A good question, also common question, and we advise running minimum 2 weeks to observe the actually 2 weekends and 2 weekend days. Also, lots of the A/B testing platforms wait to announce the winner. However, the second question, it depends of your traffic. Some A/B tests, for example, you can run 40 days, still they can't reach the statistical significance. But I can say generally in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, if you have a minimum 50,000 per visitor per store, and you can, I guess, you can reach the statistical significance if you have a huge difference. And yes, and for example, you are running to 1 month and still you can't reach the statistical significance. It means you can't announce the winner. The second step, check the graphs. If you see variant 1 is a winner during the test process, you can implement it the variant 1.
Okay, so when you're running a test, would you then have to hold every other change, or could you introduce a new product while you're running a test for something different? Or does a test literally have to hold everything else static on the website,
Actually, we always try to implement usability issues without A/B tests. For example, any call to action button does not work very well, or for example, product image quality is not a hike. We implement it directly. However, we always try to choose the most impactful idea running tests before implementing, instead of implementing it directly website.
That's really interesting. So if someone thinks that they might have a problem on their website, I know that Tony talked about the audits. Are audits a good way to go, or is it more that you do a qualitative research first to work out where the problem might be? Is there a standard practice? How would you approach it within Blend if a customer said to you, I think my website needs improving?
Both of them, and I would like to say, if you need to generate a data-driven insights, you need to check the qualitative data and the quantitative data. For example, while analyzing the Shopify analytics data or the GA4 funnel, okay, you can understand our customers or visitors leave from this landing page, or unfortunately they do not complete the checkout funnel. You can see data will say. However, you can understand why, and so we conduct a user test, unmoderated user test, and we give some scenarios, and our participants join the call and answer it. They try to buy a product like for themselves. Sometimes we give a gift card, and sometimes platforms pay the additional budget for them, and watch these user testing videos. We can understand, for example, 2 months ago I tested user test for my customers, and I was surprised because maybe 100 people works on the brand, but we never realized the small usability issue. For example, USA visitors want to learn the different metrics inch, and it's a global clients only centimeters, UK based or also metrics, and so both of them. Shopify analytics, you need to analyze the data, and for example, subscription metrics on the recharge, I don't know. And yes, you need to combine the different data to generate a data-driven insights.
That's amazing, thank you. So are there any industry specific problems where people have, you know, for example, if you work with a home and garden range of products, are there particular things they should look out for? Would there be different, say, a fast fashion market? You know, there's certain things that, you know, you need to be very aware of for specific.
Yes, especially it's related to your product revenue. For example, you sell a hack revenue product, for example, 1,000 USD per product, and Tony actually explained it. You need to emphasize the return policy, because maybe I will purchase a t-shirt. Okay, at worst case scenario, less next month I can use it. I didn't like it. Maybe I will give to my best friends because of global international shipping. However, if I am planning to buying a product for my car, I need to be careful. Maybe it will take 2 weeks to research to product. I need to watch the video. I need to read the forums. But if I decide to order a t-shirt, okay, I only check the model's image and checking the user reviews, and I can say yes, industry will be affected user behavior.
I really want to add to that, because that's a great point as well. You know, it's when you've got a higher purchase. You know, so to vehicle, we run a lot of sites in the automotive market, and it's a considered purchase. They're not cheap parts; they're expensive. Kind of anything from £1,000 for a set of, you know, high performance alloy wheels for a vehicle to £7,000. So it isn't about add to basket and go. It's about building enough trust signals and value for that customer to say, actually, yes, over time they'll come and pay for that product. But equally, it's confirming that product. And I think e-commerce in the automotive parts, car parts, is really challenging compared to other categories, because that vehicle is really specific with what can fit it. So not only have you got the data, so you know, you punch in your vehicle, your car, make, model, you know, year, whatever, registration. The research that we've had is that they still are not sure whether, even though on the web page, on the product page, it's like it will definitely 100% fit your vehicle. There's still customers that will make a phone call to the customer service agent or on chat, etc., because they're still not 100% sure. Now, returning those products is really expensive for the retailer, but we've worked really hard with the messaging on some of the automotive sites. And Nermin, I'm pretty sure that backs up what you're saying in terms of, you know, the higher the purchase, there's a different kind of journey and communication involved, isn't there?
Yes. So for example, if we sell a cheaper product, and Lucia, do you remember I explained it to cart example?
Yeah, tell everybody.
It's totally, it will be a perfect case study for Tony. For example, one of the websites, when you add a cart, automatically you will visit the checkout page after adding a product cart. And one day, one of the brands decided, okay, I would like to forward all my visitors adding the cart. Automatically, I will forward them the checkout page. And we checked Shopify analytics data. And we observed that their products are very cheap, actually. They sell the gardening products. And when I analyze the data, I see we sell, I don't remember the exact name, for example, 3 or 4, I don't know, products per order. What does it mean? Every time I need to add a new item. And if I forward my visitors after adding the cart, adding the product to their cart, every time I will visit checkout, I will click on the back link, and I will start my journey. And later we tested it, and we implemented a smart cart. We redesigned it as different as smart cart. And yes, we are right. Based on the data, and we see, unfortunately for the client, the competitor solution does not work for the user website. Yes, I can say everything: audience, your product, your products, and pricing. Also country. For example, we work with a client. They have a store in the UK and Ireland, and sometimes we test the same experience for each country. sometimes it's become a winner for UK, but otherwise, for example, Ireland. Yes, every store is unique actually.
That's
Wow,
amazing.
that's really interesting. Yeah,
Yes.
that's really interesting. Do you find? Can I ask a question in terms of which country that you find the most challenging with regards to customer experience? Not, I mean challenging. I mean just difficult to kind of get under the skin of and nail that customer experience. Is there a particular country?
Yes, country, audience. For example, one time we analyzed the data, we observed the female visitors, women prefer using the categories. However, men use it to search, for example. Different actually. Different. Yeah.
That's a great point to finish on. Thank you very much for joining the call.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Lucia.
Bye.
Thank you.